I want you to think about someone you know. They have a good job, a decent salary, a house, a car, kids in decent schools, a 401 they contribute to, a credit score above 700. They are responsible. They work hard. They do not blow money on stupid things. And yet, every month feels tight. Every year, they seem to make more money and somehow have the same amount left over. Retirement still feels far away. Real wealth, the kind where money works for you, feels like something that happens to other people. That person might be you. It is most Americans. And here's what nobody tells them: they are not failing, they are trapped. Not by bad luck, not by poor decisions, by a specific set of financial patterns, patterns that the middle class follows, almost universally, that are designed to keep income flowing outward as fast as it comes in. Today, we are going to name all four of those traps, and I am going to show you how to get out of them. First, what does it actually mean to be middle class in America? Economically, the middle class is typically defined as households earning between two-thirds and double the median household income. With the median at around $74,000, that means roughly $49,000 to $148,000 a year. That is a wide range, and it captures an enormous percentage of the American workforce. But here is the thing that makes the middle class different from both ends of the wealth spectrum, and what makes the trap so powerful. The middle class earns enough to have choices, but not so much that the wrong choices do not matter. At the lower end of income, there are no choices. Every dollar goes to survival. At the upper end, the truly wealthy, the wrong choices do not necessarily derail you. You have enough cushion. In the middle, you have just enough income to make expensive mistakes. Enough to take on debt that feels manageable but is not. Enough to upgrade your lifestyle every time income rises. Enough to feel financially secure without actually being financially free. That zone, where you earn enough to spend more but not enough to absorb the consequences, is exactly where the traps live. Let us look at each one. Trap number one is the one most people have heard of, but almost nobody actually avoids. Lifestyle inflation. Here's how it works. You get a raise, you deserve it. You worked hard for it, and so you upgrade something. Maybe a nicer apartment, a newer car, more dining out, better vacations, a gym membership you actually like this time. Each upgrade feels earned. Each upgrade feels small, and each upgrade locks in a new higher cost floor for your life. 6 months later, the raise is completely absorbed. You are back to the same feeling, tight every month, not enough left over. And now your floor is higher, so the next raise will have to be even bigger just to maintain what you have. And the middle class runs it harder than any other income group. Here are the numbers. The average American earns more at 40 than they did at 30, significantly more in most cases. But studies consistently show that Americans in their 40s have approximately the same savings rate as a percentage of income as they did in their 30s, meaning all that additional income over a decade went to lifestyle, not wealth. The wealthy do something different. They call it the golden handcuffs reversal. Every time income rises, before lifestyle inflates, a predetermined percentage of the increase goes directly to investments, automatically, before it ever hits checking. Not all of the raise, not even most of it, but a fixed, committed portion that is non-negotiable. Do this consistently across a career, and the wealth gap between the lifestyle inflator and the automatic investor becomes enormous, even on identical incomes. Trap number two is one of the most emotionally loaded topics in American personal finance: homeownership. We covered the rent versus buy math in a previous video, but the middle class trap goes deeper than just the cost comparison. The trap is this: most middle class Americans treat their home as their primary wealth building vehicle. They put a significant down payment into it, often their largest single asset, and then spend decades paying off the mortgage, maintaining the property, and counting on appreciation to build their net worth. The problem is that home equity is illiquid. It is underversified. It is concentrated in a single asset in a single neighborhood. And the returns, when you account for maintenance, insurance, property taxes, and the interest paid over 30 years, are often significantly lower than a comparable investment in a broad stock index. Here is the uncomfortable math. A $400,000 home purchased with $80,000 down at 7% interest over 30 years will cost approximately $958,000 in total payments, nearly $1 million. The home might be worth $800,000 in 30 years if appreciation holds at historical averages. Net gain. around $700,000 after subtracting the total cost. Compare that to investing the same $80,000 down payment plus the difference between the mortgage payment and what rent would cost at 10% annual returns over 30 years. The numbers are comparable, but the stock portfolio is liquid, diversified, and does not require a new roof. The middle class trap is not homeownership itself. It is believing that homeownership is wealth and therefore putting almost all financial resources into the home while neglecting investment accounts. Your home is a place to live. It can be part of a wealth strategy. It should not be the entire strategy. Trap number 3 is the one that costs the most and gets talked about the least. The safety salary. The middle class is built on the assumption that a good, stable salary at a reliable employer is the safest financial path. Get a good job, keep the job, work your way up slowly, retire at 65. And for most of the 20th century, that assumption was correct. Pensions were real, job security was real, salary growth over a career was predictable. In 2026, that assumption is a trap. Here is why. People who stay at the same employer for their entire career earn, on average, significantly less than people who change jobs every 2 to 4 years. Not by a little, by a lot. A 2230 study by the ADP Research Institute found that job changers received salary increases averaging 10 to 20% when switching roles. Annual raises at the same employer averaged 3 to 5% over a 20-year career. The compounding difference in income between a job changer and a stayer at identical roles and performance levels can exceed $300,000 in total earnings. $300,000 from the same skill set, the same work. Just the willingness to change employers. The safety salary is the illusion that staying is safe. But in a world where inflation runs at 3 to 4% annually, a 3% raise is a pay cut in real terms. The middle class accepts this. The wealthy optimize against it. This does not mean you need to change jobs every 2 years. It means you should know your market rate, you should negotiate aggressively every year, and you should be willing to leave if the offer you deserve is not on the table. Your loyalty to your employer should not exceed your employer's loyalty to your income growth. Trap number 4 ties together everything we have discussed, and it is the one that most middle-class Americans only discover when it is too late to fully correct. The retirement math mistake. Most middle-class Americans believe they are saving for retirement. They contribute to their 401k, they get the employer match, they have a balance that looks impressive on the annual statement, but they have never actually run the retirement math. They do not know, at my current savings rate, what will I have at 65? Is that enough to maintain my current lifestyle for 20 to 25 years? What does inflation do to that number? What do fees do to that number? We covered the 401k math in detail in video 1 of this series. But the middle-class trap version of this problem is specific. Middle-class households typically save just enough to feel responsible, but not enough to actually be on track. The industry standard recommendation is to save 15% of your gross income for retirement. The average American saves about 6 to 8%. On a $75,000 salary, 15% is $11,250 a year. Most middle-class workers contribute $5,000 to $6,000, less than half. The gap between 6% and 15%, compounded over 30 years, is not a small difference in retirement balance. At 10% annual returns, contributing 6% of a $75,000 salary for 30 years produces approximately $560,000. Contributing 15% of the same salary for the same period produces approximately $1,400,000. $560,000 versus $1,400,000 on identical incomes. The only difference is the savings rate. And the reason most middle-class workers are at 6% instead of 15% is not that they cannot afford 15%. It is that every other trap we discussed, lifestyle inflation, home ownership costs, stagnant salary, consume the money before it ever reached the retirement account. The traps compound. That is what makes them a trap. Now I want to be clear about something. This video is not about blaming the middle class. The traps are real. The systemic pressures are real. The cost of living crisis is real. But there are specific mindset differences between people who break out of the middle class trap and those who stay in it, and they are worth naming directly. Difference 1: assets before upgrades. The middle class buys lifestyle first and invests what is left. The wealth building mindset buys assets first and upgrades lifestyle with what remains after. Difference 2: income is not one thing. The middle class relies almost entirely on a single earned income stream, one salary, one employer. People who break out of the middle class consistently develop multiple income streams, not necessarily dramatic side businesses, but dividend income, rental income, interest income, freelance work in their field. Any second stream that can be partially automated. Difference 3. The goal is financial independence, not retirement. The middle class plans to work until 65 and then retire. The wealth building mindset plans to reach a point where work becomes optional, ideally well before 65. That reframe changes every financial decision, because instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" the question becomes, "Does this move me closer to or further from the point where I am financially free?" These are not dramatic differences. They do not require a different income or a different education or a different background. They require a different framework, applied consistently over time. Here is the concrete action plan for escaping the middle class trap. 4 steps, 1 per trap. Step 1. Fight lifestyle inflation with a raise rule. Every time your income increases, commit in advance to a specific percentage that goes directly to investments. Not spending, not debt payoff. Investments. I recommend at least 50% of every raise, meaning if you get a $200 a month raise, $100 goes automatically to your Roth IRA or brokerage account before you ever see it. Do this for every raise for the rest of your career. Step 2. Rebalance the homeownership relationship. If you rent, do not rush into buying because of social pressure. Run the numbers for your market using the price-to-rent ratio. Stay liquid. Keep investing. If you own, make sure you also have investment accounts. Your home cannot be your only wealth vehicle. Step 3. Know your market rate and use it. Once a year, check what your role pays at other companies in your market. Use LinkedIn Salary, Glassdoor, Levels.fyi for tech or industry salary surveys. If they will not match market rate, consider moving. Your salary is the foundation of everything. Optimizing it is the highest return financial move most workers can make. Step 4. Increase your savings rate by 1% every year. Not a dramatic jump, just 1% per year. If you are at 6% today, go to 7% next year, 8% the year after. In 9 years, you are at 15%, the recommended level, and you barely felt each individual step. The math on this simple compounding habit over a full career is transformational. The middle class is not a place to look down on. It represents the hard work and responsible decisions of tens of millions of Americans. But it is also a financial pattern, a set of habits and beliefs about money that, followed without question, keeps even high-earning households from building real wealth. The trap is not inevitable. Every single one of the 4 patterns we described today can be interrupted. The raise rule, the homeownership reframe, the salary optimization, the savings rate ramp. None of them require a windfall. None require a promotion. None require luck. They require understanding the pattern and consciously choosing to do something different. Your action step this week: identify which of the 4 traps you are most caught in right now. Just one. Write it down, then commit to one specific action that interrupts that trap this month. 1% savings rate increase, 1 salary research session, 1 automatic investment transfer, 1 move this month. Subscribe for more. Every week, 1 video, real numbers, no fluff. Next week, we are going into something that costs the average American $200,000 over a lifetime, a hidden fee structure that most people pay without ever knowing it exists. See you then.